touchdown. ¿Quién lo diría? Que se podía hacer el amor por telepatía. La luna está llena, mi cama vacía, lo que yo te haría. Si te tuviera de frente en la mente, te la volaría. De noche, de día, de noche, de día. You know I'm just a flight away. And if you want it, you could take a private plane. A kilómetros estamos conectando. Y me prendes aunque no me estés tocando. You know I got a lot to say. All these voices in the background of my brain. Y me dicen todo lo que estás pensando. Me imagino lo que ya estás maquinando. ¿Quién lo diría? Que se podía hacer el amor por telepatía. La luna está llena, mi cama vacía, lo que yo te haría. Si te tuviera de frente en la mente, te la volaría. De noche, de día, de noche, de día. You know that I can see right through you. I can read your mind, I can read your mind, what you wanna do. It's written all over your face, times two. 'Cause I can read your mind, I can read your mind. I can hear your thoughts like a melody. Listen while you talk when you're fast asleep. You stay on the phone just to hear me.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Hopefully doing well and ready to get into Eve's Bayou. Y'all already know how it goes. Make sure that you are leaving comments in that chat, letting us know what you think about this classic film and showing us some love. By us, I mean myself and my guests backstage. I'm definitely not going to waste any time in breaking them out, but be sure to support us. That means liking, subscribing. If you could share with a friend, it will be cute on everybody's platform, especially if this is your first time seeing them. I'm gonna bring Nikki out first to know if she's ready to get into Eve's Bayou, and I want to ask her, did she rewatch the movie? Because I know it had been some time since she's seen it. King Nikki, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready to get into Eve's Bayou, and y'all can officially stop saying I don't watch black movies because Eve's Bayou down. Okay, we did a live watch along yesterday with the subs. I'm locked in.
Who ever said that? Who said you didn't watch black movies?
You know, y'all always hating on me because I haven't seen Dead Presidents and them little movies like that.
I said it. It was me. She don't be watching black movies, y'all. She don't support the arts. She be watching what she want to watch and leaving us in the dust. I'm really glad that she gave us some time and watched Eve's Bayou. Eve appreciates you. Thank you so much, Nikki. And I have a guest here. I think that this is Sister Girl on Film's first time on my channel. I think, right? I think this is her first time, girl. Hey, this is her first time. This may not be your first time seeing her here because we collaborate more than once as far as Nikki's channel is concerned. But this is her first time here on my channel. Welcome to the stage, Sister Girl on Films. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and share my thoughts.
Yeah, did you get a chance to rewatch it?
I did. We watched it yesterday, which was good. It had been about a year since I had seen it, so it was still fresh in my mind to some degree.
Oh, good. Did you guys watch it together?
Yeah, we did a live watch along yesterday.
Oh man, I am missed it. That's good. That's good. But y'all already know how I like to start because just because we rewatched it doesn't mean that everybody in the chat rewatched it. So we're gonna do a little refresher. Then we're gonna get into the film. Let's go ahead.
Louisiana.
Over here.
Get out of the damn tub!
You watch your language, young lady.
Mommy keeps stabbing herself in the kitchen.
I think you better hush.
And where's Daddy? He's never home. He's supposed to be home sometime.
Your father works hard so we can have a house with 4 bathrooms.
Not every night he's not working. I know he's not.
Oh, you in trouble now.
Lost so much of have to find new things to lose. All I know is there must be a divine point to it all, and it's just over my head. So that was the damn point. And sometimes I think there's no point at all, and that's the point. All I know is most people's lives are a great disappointment to them.
Don't you think you're being a little immature?
I beg your pardon?
Keeping us in the house because Aunt Mozelle seeing things. What's wrong with you?
If you're lucky, you might live long enough to one day have a husband and children of your own. Till then, this is my house, and you will do as I say. Do you understand? I said, do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait. Sometimes a soldier falls on his own sword. In 3 years' time, you will be happy again. Look to your children.
The Black Widow. Next man who marries you is a dead man, like the others. Always be that way.
Salmontas! You're an old lying witch!
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes if the weather is bad, I just stay on campus.
Maddie don't seem like the lonely type.
No, I guess not.
Your lungs are clear as a bell, Stevie. I think you're going to live.
Doctor, could you give me something for the pain?
Girl.
Go on outside and play.
Desperately hard up.
What was wrong with that lady?
Mrs. Hobbs?
No shame.
Some illness hard to put a finger on. Well, I want to thank you all for the delightful family chat. Have patience to see.
Louis, Sunday.
But when you find a way to put sickness on an 8-hour, 5-day schedule, you let me know.
Well, what's wrong with them that can't wait a day?
Are you two gonna fight? Some sickness is hard to put a finger on. Would you tell me? Is it me? Is it something I did? Why won't you talk to me? You're my only friend.
She was acting her little butt off.
She was.
What is it? Tell me. I promise I won't tell anybody.
She's nervous because he's messing with other women.
You have 5 seconds.
Daddy and Mrs. Moreau.
She blames me for not making you happier. She thinks I'm driving you away.
She's a child, Roz.
I first met Louis, I said to myself, he's a man who can fix things.
Something first. Like stick pins in it or...
You did something. You brought me his hair. Said you wanted him dead. You said you was certain.
Good night, Maddie.
It doesn't happen. Because this day, I'll deliver it.
All right, y'all. That's Eve's Bayou. That is Eve's Bayou. If you ain't seen it, you pretty much caught up now. I am hearing an echo on my end. Is it somebody else or is it me?
I don't hear an echo.
I hear an echo.
Let me see. I hear a little bit of echo.
I don't hear echo at all.
It must mean it's you.
But hold on now.
I'm just messing with you. It might be Miss You. Let us know in the chat if you hear echo. I think I hear one, but it might be, stuff be all faulty when it wants to be. But Nikki, I am going to start with you. As far as why do you think we love this movie? We meet this affluent Black Baptiste movie family in this 1960s Louisiana. And the way that it's structured is completely different from any movie that was coming out, especially in 1997. But the way it's structured is different from any movie that we've currently got in 2025. Why do you think we love this movie so much? And why do you love it so much, if you do at all? Because I know sometimes you won't be here for stuff.
I was going to say, who said we love this movie?
I know it.
I will say I can appreciate the fact that I'm not really one for like black trauma type stories. This for me is refreshing because it doesn't just feel like a black trauma story. This literally just feels like a family. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like a family drama. Like this could be any type of family from any walk of life with just a, you know, certain dynamics with the siblings and the dad and the cursed aunt. So I can appreciate that. But also I thought it was really refreshing with Sister Girl touched on this yesterday, but like the culture that's so embedded in the movie is really, really refreshing. And it feels like it's not something you really see every day. You know how movies take you into a certain world. I feel like we don't get glimpses into this world specifically very much. And baby, Debbie Allen.
Where's Debbie Allen? Because she's not in this movie.
I mean,
Said it with her whole chest.
Debbie Morgan.
Debbie, you know what, Debbie? I'm talking about Debbie Morgan. Who is Debbie? Oh yeah, I know Debbie. Debbie Morgan. Okay. Debbie Morgan was really just the highlight of the movie for me. I felt like she was on a whole nother level for real. I feel like she was just walks above every single body, every single person in the movie. I love Debbie Allen. Now, I wouldn't say I love this movie. I probably would never watch it again. But there was a lot that I could appreciate in the movie. Specifically, the direction was outstanding. There's a scene with Debbi Morgan where she's telling Eve a story about her husband and the man she was cheating with. And I love how visually we go from her just audibly telling a story, and then visually we see it in the mirror, and then suddenly she walks through the mirror into the scene. Like stuff like that was just really, really brilliant and creative. But I wouldn't say I love the movie, but I can appreciate the movie.
I love this movie. I love this movie. I can appreciate just, first of all, the costume design was on point. Everybody looked beautiful. Lynn Whitfield never looked better. This is for me, this is like some of the best writing. I feel like it's so subtle and it has a lot of nuance to it in character and development, which is really, really important to me with this story. This story is written well enough to where every single person can walk away from it and see something else. And I don't think we get that all the time. And I see a lot of promise with this in a way that if it was written now, I feel like it would be so pretentious and so overboard because it feels like writers and directors now think to have you like really like, oh my God, what's really happening here? They have to go overboard and give you all of these extensive visuals and all this like, it gets really try hard. I feel like we got that in effect and it didn't really give all of that. The standout here for me will always be Jurnee Smollett and Diahann Carroll because Diahann showed up in a way that I needed her to. Respect to Debbie and everybody else here, but I love Diahann Carroll and Jurnee Smollett. This was her like breakout, even though she was acting for a really long time. This is the movie I remember her for the most. And it was like, oh, Miss Mamas can act. This isn't just, child star territory. You kind of knew from this film she would probably go on to have some type of prolific career because she did so well here. I love this movie. I just appreciate the writing so much. And it feels like watching this, we get to see what we are missing. Let me get this super chat here from Dane before he say I ain't read it. Thank you so much, Dane, for the $2. The Tower cleavage is back. Salute, ladies. Thank you so much, Dane. I do what I can. Sister girl, do you love this film or are you somewhere in the middle? If so, why?
I wouldn't say that I love this film just because it's so heavy, but I can understand why it's probably beloved within the Black community. For me, I think it has a lot to do also with around the time this movie was made. I think it was unique in the fact that it addressed Black trauma, family trauma, generational trauma, and it wasn't like set in like the stereotypical like in the hood, like a boys in the hood type thing. It was set very much like in Louisiana, which is a character all by itself. And I think it gave a different perspective. And I think it kind of shone a light on the fact that even back in the day, people could be of high society, but they still got skeletons, in their closet, and everything ain't as all prim and pretty as it looks. So I think that might be why it's so popular. And it's just a great movie, great acting. Then it has a twist ending, but not really.
Y'all a mess. I really appreciate this movie. I feel like it's very still underrated and I care about it. But with that being said, I wanted to put this here because a lot of the times people don't really know where to place this movie because of the subject matter mixed with the themes. We got hoodoo practitioners, we have the gift of sight, fortune tellers, voodoo, but it's under a Southern Gothic drama. But people don't put this in the horror category. Personally, when I think of like some of my top like black horrors, if you would say, this is in there for me. Nikki, is this horror?
Absolutely not, Bob. I think that just because something has traces or elements of something, I mean, we can interweave a lot of elements into a certain story. I think this is a flat out drama. I think it's a drama. I think it has certain elements, but I would definitely not call this a horror. No shade.
I just don't know, because when you get into something like Southern Gothic drama category, Interview with the Vampire is over there, and that's horror to me also. Southern Gothic. I mean, whatever. This is horror for me. Sister girl, is this horror for you?
It is so funny you mentioned that because I used to work at a video store. Shout out to anybody that's subscribed to my channel. You already know the story. But through high school, I worked at a video store, and East Bayou was in the horror section. And so in my mind, I always, because the cover art looks like very dark, the elements of voodoo that are kind of laced in there. And so in my mind, I always imagine it as a horror. But then as I got older and watched it again, I was like, why did I think that? But I can see the horror elements in abuse and things like that. But in terms of traditional horror, I would say no. I agree, it's probably more of a drama, but I can see the horror elements in it.
I swear, because I feel like this was placed on it back then. I feel like if it's updated just a smidge and A24 puts it out with some pretentious, slime on it, oh, this is elevated horror now. Like, oh, this is elevated now. I think it is. I'm not going to play with these Southern Gothic drama terms. Like, what? Where y'all find that at? But it's fine. I just wanted to ask because that's always kind of a question that comes along with this film. But we need to start with Miss Kasi Lemmons here, aka Cookie. Cookie, bring some girls you know what to do, because it's Cookie from the Five Heartbeats. Cookie from the Five Heartbeats. Miss Ma'am and Candyman, who didn't have to be sacrificial and die in the beginning. It's a side step there too, as well as Silence of the Lambs. I always forget she's over there. But Kasi is an actress turned writer and director, and this was her very first film, her very first time writing what she thought may have been a book, and it kind of turned into this film that she had no choice but to direct because nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to sign on. Nobody wanted to support, finance the film. And this is very much so an independent project. So independent, in fact, that the producer is Samuel Jackson because he believed in it. Everybody here, especially when we're getting into the adults, just really felt like this was a very special film, especially with an all-black cast. And Samuel Jackson, being as typecast as he is most often, was like, well, where am I ever going to get to play another character like this? I'm helping produce this film, and I want Lewis. But Sister Girl, I'm going to come to you as far as Kasi Lemmons is concerned. What do you think about the fact that nobody wanted this film? Nobody wanted to support this film, and it took forever in movie terms, I think maybe about 6 to 7 years to get this film made because nobody believed in it except for maybe the Black community as far as actors who wanted to be a part of it once they read the script. And even apart from this film, this was the only one that she wrote and directed. And I guess the three most ones that she's known for, with I Want to Dance with Somebody being the last one, but she never wrote and did the whole directing for her own personal film again, but just these at the bottom. What do you think about that?
Unfortunately, I believe it. I believe it. And not because I think it was deserved, but again, thinking about the movies that came out in 97, 96, it was very much like the epitome, like the peak era of hood, Boys in the Hood, Juice, New Jersey Drive, like that era of movies. And so I can imagine that studios were probably all about that. And then here comes this Black woman. How dare you? And then you want to tell this story about this affluent family in Louisiana and sexual abuse and all that. No, ma'am. And so I can see it being turned down. I think they made a grave mistake in doing that, but I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nikki, I'm going to come to you because I know your situation and what you're trying to do with the film as far as like independent outings. But she was kind of forced into this. She didn't feel like she had the chops, with it being her first time, to really take this film where it needed to be, which is crazy when you look at the directing and how beautiful it is, and her choice of color and the costume. And when we fade to black and white, when we get into the sight perspective of the film, I think she did some really great things here. You can see some cost effective things too that I think went across really well. But I feel like with reading a little bit into her, she hasn't went off and tried to write and produce and direct a film again, because she really doesn't feel like how can I ever top this? What do you think about that?
First of all, let's put some respect on Talk to Me. That is a good behind movie. Okay,
Talk to Me wasn't good. I like Petey Green. Don Cheadle was up there cussing his ass off.
I'm just saying, when it comes to her, as far as her films, everybody talks about Eve's Bayou. I really don't ever hear anybody talk about Talk to Me. That is a really, really good movie. But I feel like she's really interesting to me, because a lot of times when you have Black actresses, especially in that era, I would think she would have come over to writing and directing to give herself some quality roles. But the fact that she went to writing and directing to only strictly be behind the camera, I find that really interesting, because she is a very capable actress. So it is really interesting to me that it wasn't like one of Ben Affleck projects when he directed and he also starred in it and stuff like that. But I feel like, I don't know the real situation, but I think it may be, unfortunately, some writers only have one good story to tell. And I really feel like she kind of only had one good story to tell, because I won't add Talk to Me, because that's autobiographical. But y'all, look, we ain't gonna pretend like Harriet was, but I feel like maybe this was the only great story that she had to tell. Because I mean, she directed some episodes of some TV shows, but she hasn't had an outing like Eve's Bayou. And from a writing standpoint, technically, I think writing-wise, Eve's Bayou is pretty brilliant. I just feel like, unfortunately, it may have been the only story she had to tell.
Oh, she got one more in there. She just had, there's no way, because even though she says that there are maybe characters that maybe family members are based on, or she took inspiration, this is, her brainchild. A lot of this is just from her mind and her taking certain things she grew up with and placing them here. You can't write this and not have another one in you. It's just gotta be there.
Nah, I disagree. Some people are one-hit wonders. You just have that one hit in you. You have that one great story. Not everybody can be Christopher Nolan and have hit after hit after hit.
I just would like to see. But just hearing her speak, it seems like there's a fear. Like, if I try to do this again, what if it's not as successful or as brilliant? And it's kind of maybe going to ruin the legacy. Like, nobody needs to be perfect, girl. We gonna watch it just the same. But I just was wondering, like, anybody who comes out with like a really great independent, self-funded, it's just like, oh, I can't wait. And then I go look at their history. It's like nothing. It was just that one film. It was just that one film. But before we get into our main cast member and thinking about how Samuel was attacking this role, or maybe even Lynn Whitfield, and the typecasting of it all, like, where was I ever going to find a role like this one? Everybody clamored to this film because it was so different. And then I saw Miss Lisa Nicole Carson. I was like, okay, what we're not going to do is play on her time, because if we were going to be hunching in the 90s, they was going to call Lisa. They're going to call Lisa. I have 3 separate films here from 94 all the way to 99. I think I missed one. We got Devil in a Blue Dress. We have Life. There's Jason Lyric. And then there's Eve's Bayou. Them titties was going to be up and she was going to be on a man. And I was like, because I was getting into the typecasting of it all. But I was like, there is such a negative condensation attached to being typecast. But I was like, now that we don't have that as much, it's still very present, but we don't have it as much. We don't see these people. I'm not just speaking on Lisa, I'm speaking on actors in general. And when we say things like typecast, it maybe pin that to somebody like Samuel Jackson, because Samuel gonna be Samuel in every single role, but we love it. He does what he's capable of with it. Is there a problem with it, or do we need more of it? And it's sad, but I'm like, at least we were seeing us in abundance, even though we were kind of seeing us in the same light every single time, because there is no reason why we should have been, maybe aside from Jason's lyrics, I think she was a girlfriend, but every other one, what you want to go home for, Claude? What you want to go home for? What you want to go home for? Because I'm a hoe. Then Devil's in a Blue Dress, I was a hoe. And then here, we just sleeping with him, and everybody knows it. Nikki, is typecasting a bad thing or a good thing?
First of all, let's put some respect on the whole, okay? We gotta live too. We gotta live too. All right, ain't nothing wrong with hoeing around. Okay, like shout out to her for representing. But I hear a lot of people who talk about this in like with a negative connotation. I say all the time, some of my favorite actors play the same variation of the same character in every single movie. Jason Statham is the same Jason Statham character in every movie. Will Smith arguably is the same Will Smith character in every movie. He's going to always give you some type of charisma. I would love to see what he was going to do with the Matrix child. But I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's nothing wrong with playing to your strong suit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with capitalizing on when Hollywood is going to call you. Because let's not pretend like black people, like Hollywood just knocking their door down. So when you're going to get a call, I think you should absolutely take it. I think there's nothing wrong with playing to your strengths. But I have to challenge you on Samuel. I think Samuel Jackson be playing different characters. He gonna show up in A Time to Kill as a little, you know what he was. He gonna be looking different from A Time to Kill.
A wig does not equate to acting. What they're gonna do is put a good lace front on him and change up that look. They're gonna put a beard on Samuel. Samuel is gonna yell. He gonna give you some F-bombs and he's gonna deliver. It's the same with like I look, and even though it's a high caliber, I look at Samuel L. Jackson the same way I look at John Witherspoon. It's the same variations of.
Now hold on now. I know we did not put Samuel Jackson.
Like I said, it's elevated because fortunately Samuel has been able to be in spaces and be cast in films like in an abundance as far as Hollywood is concerned and your most affluent directors. But Samuel is giving you Samuel Jackson every time. Is he not?
No. From the Quentin Tarantino movies to Triple X to Nick Fury, he looked like a different person.
Looks and acting is two different things.
No, John Witherspoon, I love him, but he played Pops in everything he do.
Like I said, it's elevated, but it's the same. Sister girl, I'm going to come to you. Is typecasting an issue or do we need more of it? And even speak on Samuel. Is Samuel the same in every single thing or not?
So let me just say in defense of Lisa Nicole Carson, she was not the same character in Love Jones.
No, she was not.
We're going to give her that one out. But somebody made a good point in the chat. They said Anakin, not Vader, said typecasting keeps the bills paid. And I agree. I feel like if the shoe fit, go ahead. Why are we throwing it out? Why are we throwing it out? I think, but also on the other end of that, it kind of puts a stop on longevity though at some point, because once that time has come, once them titties ain't sitting up no more, you know, you might be on the rebrand of Golden Girls. But now I will have to say I do feel like Samuel L. is the same in every movie, just a different font. I mean, we could start at his first movie and then just pretend they're all in the same universe. And this is just him throughout his different careers of his life. I do feel like he has to say, but it works for him.
It does.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but yeah, for sure. I can't think of a role except for, I was going to say A Time to Kill. Maybe he may have been a little different.
So y'all think Mr. Glass was the same as Nick Fury?
Yeah. Just a different font.
Hell, you know what? It be your own people.
I mean, I was going to say, you know, he was fragile. If you want me to give him that, I don't know that you want me to give him. Like he said, this was different for him. And unfortunately for me, Sam was probably my weakest point in this film. I felt like Sam in his Creole accent was, you know, he was trying, you know, but it just, I was like, man, if we could have I was like, but you know what? I'm not mad at Samuel. I'm not mad at him, but this did feel like it was a little bit out of his depth. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me keep going, because he wasn't yelling. He wasn't cussing and projecting. But moving on, I was just saying, shout out to the 70 people here. Hit that like button. Nikki said, don't do Samuel Jackson.
Samuel was one of the greats.
Everybody said he wasn't, but we still can criticize him. Mm-hmm. Let's get into Mama Roz. She said he was a provider who could fix things. We are introduced to her, and I don't think I even noticed or cared enough to pay attention to the fact that I thought the mother that was in the house, I always thought that was her mom. Like, no, she had absolutely no family here.
Mm-mm.
She had moved here to, be with this man, this top tier doctor in this small town, and he was a provider and a protector, and she's pretty much here all alone trying to raise these kids all alone because we ain't getting no help with that. But was she complacent, or was she just consumed by all the adultery that Lewis had going on? Was she paranoid, or was she protective? Did she do enough for her children as a mother? Sister girl, what did you think about Roz after watching this film recently?
So, for what, I love that you pointed out that line. He was a provider who could fix things. And then she said, but then I got here and find out he was just another man. Girl, she said that. Put it on a shirt and sell it, because that's exactly what it was. And then also just thinking about the time period, she would have maybe gotten married to him, what, in the early, like, 1950s maybe? And back then the whole objective was to find a man that could take care of you, and then your family married you off almost low key like a little dowry, and you go about your business. So, her not having family there, I wasn't surprised by that. But then it also was sad because who did she have to like lean on? Like his family, the people helping him pass on these cheating curses and all these things. And then trying to stand up for herself when she sees one of her children competing with her to some degree. And so I feel bad for her, but then also, no, I just feel bad for her because back then it wasn't just I get a divorce and leave and all. It's just she was kind of trapped to some degree, I guess. I feel. Let me stop saying to some degree.
Well, it seemed like she was well aware of exactly what was going
Mm-hmm.
on and
For
who her
sure.
husband was, but we're enjoying all the opulence and kind of choosing to ignore it and becoming complacent and stagnant with the rest of the family, just digging
Mm-hmm.
more into his standing in this small town. And low key, we're seething and suffering under the surface because I'm here every night by myself and you out being a good doctor, and it's a bit too much. But Nikki, I'm going to come to you. Do you think that Roz did everything in her power to protect her children? And what did you think about her character overall?
I think, first of all, shout out Lynn Whitfield. This might be one of my favorites I've seen her in, but I think her character is the prime example of why I've been a feminist since I was like 3 years old. Her life feels dreadful. And I mean, objectively, what was her character's identity outside of being her husband's wife and her kid's mom? Like, she really had no identity outside of those two roles in the slightest. And one thing that really irked me with her, she felt like she was in La La Land. She was like a space cadet. I was like, girl, come down to earth. Let's get some reality. If she felt so willfully blind to so much, even when it came to that really weird dynamic between her husband and her daughter, like it was very odd to me how happy and glowing she was, like at that party, even watching her husband dancing with Lisa Nicole character. Yeah, no ma'am, no ma'am. No.
Oh, she was going to let Lewis have his way. Be that as it may, the cheating was the cheating. You want to be
Mm-hmm.
that wife, and I'm gonna stick beside him long as he come home to me on the weekend, even though he was leaving on the weekend. She said, "It's Sunday. What you need to fix on a Sunday, girl? You know what he going to fix." That was that. But I feel like she was extremely inactive and nonchalant when it came to Cissy. Like, I need you to get active,
Mm-hmm.
fam. You could tell that she was noticing her acting out of character. There's a difference between being mature and what Cissy was. Eventually getting to the point where she's trying to imitate you or imitate womanhood or what she thinks. And it was just like, what's
Yeah.
wrong with her? I just don't. And then when we have that scene where she's just like, well, yeah, go back upstairs. I don't want you to wait on your father anymore. I don't want you down here. I don't want you cater. Just go up there. I'm going to do that. That wasn't enough. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't enough. I needed her to do more, and I feel like she was complacent and did not protect her children in every single way she could. She was too busy trying to be a wife and try to be in whatever this bubble was of Lewis's philandering ways, child. It seemed like Lewis was going out playing doctor and having sex with somebody every single day. I was like,
Right.
girl,
Right.
this is just too much. And she was just kind of wrapped up in her own torture. And of course, Eve, because child Eve was a tyrant. All of these things going on and all this kind of paranoia because all she has to confide in is Sister Mozelle, and we're going to get to her, but we knew where her loyalties lied. She didn't really have anybody. So once she gets this fortune told from the fortune teller, and then we have Mozelle, keep the kids in the house. Somebody's going to get hurt. Some kids are going to get hit by a bus, this, that, and the third. we're just consumed with that if it's not the cheating, which caters to Nikki's space cadet vibes and her just being, because she wanted to be willfully ignorant, because if she wasn't, she would have to really admit some stuff to herself about her marriage and about her man, child. It was sad.
And to make it so bad, like even if she had attempted to go out into town and make friends, your husband's sleeping with everybody. She really had that lady isolated. Now that we are talking about it. Oh, Ross.
She was. I really thought that her with the all this time. I thought that the grandmother was like, that's her. At least she got her mom. I was like, that's not her mama. That's Samuel's mama. Everybody just all in his pocket, and she's just kind of here alone, trying to hold it together, hoping that he steps up to help her with these kids, and he's just not.
Right.
Let's get into the star of the show, because baby, Diahann said, "Who don't have no range?"
Right. Period.
I love me some Diahann Carroll. This is the one role when some people still watching now go, that's Diahann Carroll. I never knew that was Diahann Carroll, because she kind of completely disappeared. And it was easy for her to disappear, because most of the time when you see Diahann Carroll, baby, it's opulent, we're rich, we're decked out, we giving bougie rich mama aunt, and the nose is up. It's giving dynasty all the way out. There's always kind of this dignified quality to her, outside of maybe something like Claudine. But this was totally different. This was totally different. I feel like she delivers so heavily on the atmosphere that we get with this film. And anytime somebody, not me because I wasn't scared, but somebody decides to categorize this, oh, it was a horror because she had me shook. I was terrified of this movie as a kid. It's always in correlation to her. But I thought she was exceptional, because she said, you gave me $20 in the lock of his head. Like, the fact that we could get somebody marked for $20 in the 60s. I could take you out for $20. But I love what she catered to it. I love the back and forth we have with Eve and that regret that she gets into. And I just think she delivered here 10 times over in such a small premise in a film. I feel like she added so much to it. Nikki, what did you think about Diahann?
I thought she was amazing, but I didn't know folks was scared of her. If that's why folks calling it a horror, then you know what? I'll give you that. Because technically, I guess horror is anything that horrifies or scares you. But I thought she was amazing. And I'm just still trying to figure out. So then we put the voodoo on him or not? Because I halfway feel like she was just playing the little girl and took her money and never did the little ritual. And then the other half of me feel like she actually did it. So I'm really torn on whether she did it or she was.
That's what makes the film so good. Multiple things can be, did this or didn't this happen? You really don't know. What do you think?
I think that evil old bat did it. She said, oh, baby, want to kill your daddy? I give him 20, bet that up. I feel like she did it, but I just love how the way she was going so hard when Eve comes back and she's like, but the dog, but I want the dog. I was like, wait a minute. The way she put it on, is she just trying to scare this little girl and she didn't actually do it? But I loved her. This is the only thing I've ever seen Diahann Carroll play in. I like, obviously I know who she is, but I've never seen her in anything. I thought this was great. I really enjoyed her. Even the way she went off on poor Debbi Morgan, talking about you a black widow. I don't need the chicken bones to read your future. Like,
I loved it. I love Elzora. I think she put that root on that man real quick, because she was giggity. Like, yeah, down there were all the other Baptistas. You sure this ain't for Debbi? You sure this ain't for me? I can put some roots on her. You came down here for your aunt. You want to kill her? No, I'm here for somebody else. Pipe down. Right. She's like, I've been wanting to take that wench out. She get on my nerves. Got this black widow walking around here. Since the girl on film, what did you think about Diahann and her delivery, or even Eve in this regret? I really love that moment of getting back into, even though Eve is a child and you can clearly see that, you really feel like she's in over her head, because she's like, I want to kill him. But that ties back into just being a child. You know, you get frustrated. Oh, I could just kill you. I'm going to kill you. And it's just like, well, no, I ain't really want to kill my dad. I thought you was going to give me a little torture situation and I could stick pins in it like this was, you know, Chucky or something. I don't get a voodoo doll. It's like, no, girl, this was very serious and I'm in business, but you thought this was child's play.
No, I love Diahann Carroll. First of all, I think she is just amazing. Like, rest in peace. She was just amazing. Now my theory about, you know, did she put a hex on him or not? I don't think she did. I think because she was a real seer, she already knew that man was gonna get killed. She saw it all unfold anyway. But our sis was about that paper. And she remembered that aunt knocking all her dollars on the ground. So, you gonna run me my money? Get my $20 because that's what your aunt knocked on the floor plus interest. And also, I'm gonna teach you a life lesson. That you can't play with these things, and this is not a game. And and there can be real consequences. And so, her making her think that you did this to your father maybe is a way, maybe to also further curse the family, because now she might have this guilt of like, I did this to my daddy, because she opened up the movie with the year I killed my father.
Yeah.
But I don't think she really did. I think she always knew that that was going to be his fate, but she was like, I'm making me a little cute little coin on this child's naivety.
I just loved it. She was like, if that little diabolical laughter as Eve's backing out of the house ain't horror, I don't know what is, because she was reveling and having a little too much fun at the Baptiste's expense. It's like, what? You thought it was a game?
She couldn't
He's
stand
dead. I put his hair in the mouth of a snake and buried it. I doubt
Right.
you find it though. It was so sinister. I loved it. Like this is the horror in the movie, Nikki. It's to some folks, it is. Nikki say, please. It is. It absolutely is. But moving to Miss Mama's here, because I said last night, I said I haven't watched this in a while, but Eve was one cigarette and a pocket knife away from being Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son, because I was like, oh my God. Eve is that, that tortured middle child, and she is our narrator. She's 10, she's traumatized, mischievous, neglected, and she's a smart ass. Because, girl, make me pop you in them lips. Lord, I was like, oh, this girl, what house you living in? Because, man, my whole tablet would have been gone. But the question that comes in the most with Eve, which I never noticed before because of her state and how old she was, is Eve a reliable narrator? Because we're getting so much of it from her perspective. Because I'm watching this and I was like, oh, Eve was neglected, and how come you only dance with Cissy? You never dance with me, or we are picking on the brother nonstop because he's clearly his mom's favorite. But it's like, aren't these the familiar tendencies that most middle children have? You see things a certain way because you are the middle one, and you do feel more so neglected than the others. Or even just getting into her perspective about her dad. Sister girl, do you feel like Eve was a reliable narrator? And what did you think about Jurnee and the character overall, and her journey, for lack of a better word?
Well, for one, I definitely think Jurnee did an amazing job. I said yesterday on the watch along that I really wish they had created a Harriet the Spy type movie that starred her when she was this age, because she was just so rambunctious and so spunky, and I loved how she played this role. It is interesting, the idea of like, was she a reliable narrator? Because we are, I guess, technically seeing this movie from her perspective. And if she did kind of have a little bit of that jealousy towards her sister, and maybe a little bit of that anger, or even like that admiration for her father, like the portrayal that we see of Louis, is that really how he was? Like, was he more nefarious? Was he more a little bit more of a creeper, than what we really saw? Or was it because she held him in such a high esteem that even in her adult memory, she only remembers her father being loving and caring, even when he may have been grooming her older sister? Because that jealousy was there, she was more apt to take his side than to believe her own, what she was actually experiencing, and maybe her father really being a perv.
I'm gonna say that he was, because every off-camera look, like, there's no reason to give sinister looks once Eve walks away. I was like, Samuel, why you looking like that? There were so many moments. Even the movie poster, he just looks nefarious and sinister and just like somebody's deviant. I was like, if y'all didn't want us to think he was a certain way in this film, you did a poor job, because that's all I ever saw when I looked at him. Nikki, what did you think about Eve, and is she a reliable narrator?
I actually love you questioning if she's a reliable narrator, and you speaking on the facial expressions her dad would make. There were actually quite a few characters that would make facial expressions that didn't match like what would, and I would be like, what, wait a minute, what that mean? What they trying to say? Like, it was quite a few facial expressions. I was like, wait, now why are they looking at her like that? Now wait a minute. So I feel like that is extremely interesting to me to even pose that question. But I will say, out of all the movies I've ever seen in my life, this character reminds me the most of me as a child. Like, I'm being for real. I was a terrorizer. I feel bad for my mama. Yeah, like, for real. So I feel like she is as reliable of a narrator as we could possibly get from any of these characters, because I think all of the characters' experience is colored by how they perceive the world around them. If we were getting the story from the whimsical mom, or we were getting the story from the tortured aunt, or the currently being groomed sister, or the little non-existent little boy. I kept forgetting they even had a little boy in this movie. So I think it is as accurate of a narration as we could possibly get from any of these characters. But there was definitely, and that's why I say, man, look, we gotta put respect on Samuel acting. There was some real diabolical just feelings and motive bubbling under the surface of his performance. And I actually loved the way they did Samuel's character. He felt evil, but I also kind of liked him.
That's how most, predators are.
He definitely felt kind of charismatic and endearing to me.
Oh Lord, that was all Sam. It wasn't Louis. But Louis. But yeah, I really enjoyed Eve's perspective. Whether it was biased or not, her experience isn't biased. Her seeing her dad in that garage, isn't a biased situation. Her reaction to what happened between, him and his sister, that's not about it. His philandering, go on wait outside. Go on wait outside, girl. I got some stuff. Why I gotta wait outside, daddy? His uncaring nature to not even have enough coup to, like, if you're gonna go cheat on people, you're gonna take your baby with you,
right?
You're gonna take, and not just assume. I guess she's 10, she's none the wiser. Like she's not Nikki. What is this? Girl, let them argue. Let them argue. But and we're gonna get to that. That's why I wanted to discuss this film, because it doesn't matter what year, what decade. There's always gonna be two sides, and there's gonna be Cissy's side and Lewis's side, and some people vary on whose side they decide to be on. I know where I stand, but yeah, I love Eve's perspective, and I thought she was great. Like she was just so good. I would have been here for a Harriet the Spy situation. That would have been good. That would have been good. Even yes. the standing on business of it. Like, well, you did what to my sister? Yeah, you got to go, daddy or not. You got to get out of here. You have to get out of here. Like Eve was so messy and mischievous when she went and told that man she don't look like the lonely type. I was, oh, girl, this child here, she was a hot mess. But I love the entertainment of it all. Eve was definitely outside. I said, this is what y'all was doing, what the kids was doing back then to entertain themselves.
They had nothing else to do.
Pretty interesting. Oh Lord. The sister. The sister, like, we get a whole bunch of Mozelle, and my brother and I were a lot of, like, I bet you we're a hoodoo and remedy practitioner. She's known around for being the Black Widow because we've had 3 husbands and all of them have died. She is pretty much preoccupied with wanting love, and if I could just find a man that won't die on me, that would be great. And just her loyalty to her brother. It didn't seem like there was much room for anything else. It seems like she has went out of her way for who knows how long. It feels like quite a long time, because she's very complacent and comfortable. We're going to side with him. We're going to ignore all signs. Because my question all the film was like, baby, you're very all-seeing. Whatever's happening with your brother, don't you know about it? Right. Can't you see it? It's not anywhere. We're choosing to ignore these things. And even with her behavior, with Roz, going on about the cheating, and so, oh girl, let's just eat pomegranates and tear our hand. Let's just have a good time. Like, let's just not talk about that, because it was very, he's a man gonna be a man. Just let him saw his little royal oaks and he's gonna come back no, that's one thing. Your brother's cheating. As close as she pretended she was to these children and how much she cared about them, there would have been a need to be a moment to go, let me put them first and prioritize that outside of my brother, and not tell Eve stuff like, if you tell anybody about him cheating, I'm gonna kill you. It looked like she meant it. Looked like she meant it. Like, I don't have any grace for Mozelle, because I feel like she was privy to a whole bunch of information, even information that we didn't see. I feel like she knew exactly who her brother was, but just like most families, especially if it is a predator chat, we're gonna cover it. And who better to cover it than the mother and the sister? Because we want him to be known as the Black Doctor around town and not so much anything else. Nikki?
Yeah, I feel like I'm torn when it comes to this character because as I was watching the movie, I was just going up for Debbi Morgan. Okay, I was so obsessed with her character. She was just such a standout in the movie for me. Her acting was just so phenomenal, and then as well, just a few monologues she had in the movie. It was just so captivating. But thinking on the movie, she was a trash aunt. I'm so sorry, but she was just the it felt like as I was watching the movie, oh, she got some guidance, from her aunt. No, baby was getting. I feel like she was grooming the kids right along with her brother. Like just the attitude she had towards the fact that her brother was cheating and how Eve would react to it. It came across as portraying it like Eve would be doing something wrong for saying something. No, she wouldn't be doing anything wrong for speaking up and telling the truth about what her dad is doing. The dad is the one doing something wrong. And just the way she turns a blind eye, even in her relationship with her sister-in-law. I actually took maybe 40 minutes into the movie to realize that was not Lynn Whitfield's sister. But she came across like they were had a real close relationship, but it was all surface level to me. The closeness she seemed to have with her niece, the closeness she seemed to have with her sister-in-law, it was all surface level because really she was allowing a lot of dysfunction and harmful things to just, turn a blind eye to. Like you said, she's all seeing. And even without her gift of sight, baby, she know her brother and she know exactly what's going on. And she was really just perpetuating all of it.
When she kept saying, because I think she said it 2 or 3 times, my brother and I are a lot alike. And I felt like that was her just choosing to prioritize herself, her needs, her wants. Very, very selfish. Because if it's about me and this man, and about Bundy Curtis Hall stepping to the door with this Indian tribal wig on, the lace front was laid. Them tracks was laid on Bundy. I didn't even know until I was like, I never knew that he was Kasi Lemmons' husband all this time. I had no clue. But he was. Yeah, really? I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, we worried about that man. We're worried about the next man who's going to, grin and bear it to be with me, even though I'm known as a Black Widow. And hopefully I can get the love I want. And her going off into those long riddles, I'm like, girl, shut up. You need to protect them children. Sister girl, what did you think about this sister?
So I know she had 3 husbands that died.
Yeah.
And the third one, I wasn't sure about how he died, but it sounds like the curse was her inability to make good decisions. And it's not that it was anything spiritual. Like the one husband got shot by the lover because she was cheating. Baby, that ain't no curse. That's a choice. And then the other husband died in a car accident. Again, because and that part is a little foggy to me. Now, was he the one driving or she was driving?
I thought she was.
She took the keys before they left the house because that was the argument.
Because they had a whole argument.
Okay, so she was driving, probably upset and angry. So again, we got a choice. Nothing, and the third husband, I don't know. So it doesn't feel like anything like these like weird like Final Destination accidents happen. And so I feel like it was the curse of the family curse of just making bad decisions and being selfish and not considering other people was the curse. And that's why the witch lady, I forget her name, was like, you always gonna be cursed because your family don't learn nothing.
And she was so mad that she told the truth. I was like, girl, what was the lie? You a serial killer at this point. Sis, you didn't lie.
No, absolutely. So I feel like, she was very selfish. I do believe that. And when she told Eve, don't tell nobody, this and that about your daddy, or I will kill you. Don't talk. And all the way she was just half, I'm your favorite aunt, these my babies, but then the other half, I'm not really protecting them. And it was just a lot. She was a very, I guess, tortured woman because she believed she was cursed and didn't want to take accountability. Like, girl, it's you.
Very, and I hated that she kept trying to use this gift to kind of, I need to know what you know. Use it on your brother. Stop being ignorant to what's happening directly in your face. Like she wanted to use that gift in every single way, but where it was necessary. I felt like she preoccupied most of her time with wanting to keep Eve busy, so we're not indulging in that stuff. And I'm like, how long were you doing this? What were you doing with Cissy? How long have you been covering from this brother? And what all do you know? That's what I was. But what I do know is we currently have 105 people in this chat. We are very, very happy to have you here. Make sure that you are showing us love. Make sure that you are hitting the like button. I'm going to give y'all a moment to do that, and we are going to come right back. Let us know your thoughts. Don't be quiet in the chat. The super chat button works. You know I like money. I see y'all later. Child, I'm just saying, I'm checking. Y'all having all kind of discourse down here in the chat and ain't telling us none of it. Out here being stingy. But baby, let's move on from anything else on this sister before we move forward.
Yo, she needed an Oscar.
Everybody always need an Oscar for Nikki.
I need the blacks to get rewarded.
True. Everybody's performance in this film is just really exceptional. Like, it's just, you know how they do us with these films. Like, they want to go and acknowledge Debbie. You already know that, but she was delivering all this in-depth monologue, and girl wasn't talking about nothing but herself.
Them monologues was good. I like when she said, I forgot you was even here, baby.
Of course she was there. Because she was always in a time, I mean, I was, girl, what about these kids and stuff happening in this house? Need you to do something, ma'am. I love the monologue, but I needed her to get active. You care so much. But moving on, I was here for it. Let's get into this daddy. Oh, Samuel, why you gotta be like this? Because he making house calls in the worst way. Like, is zero accountability, zero discretion. Like, I just needed a little, at least cheat a couple of towns over. No, you hitting me. You're just going down the street, cheating, knocking up housewives or hearing them. Like, this is turning him into an absentee father, and we get into what's most important here, aside from him cheating, this inappropriate relationship that he has with Cissy. Oh, even though I did not think Samuel's Creole accent was tea, that was a choice. What was tea was these little pockets of it's giving untrustworthy. It's giving something seething and bubbling under the surface that shows us that this is a nasty individual. Not just cheating and being an adulterer is another thing. Being predatory towards your children is something else. And just how prone he was and how easy it was to cheat, that's one thing. But it's another thing to be so bold as to cheat at a party full of people in your own garage. Like, he was a habitual line stepper is what I like to call him. It was just awful. And it's like, to be so brazen, it says a whole lot about his character. But sister girl, I'm going to come to you first before I go on. What did you think about Daddy Lewis?
It was a lot. It was to me, it was just the brazen arrogance. He was holding on to his arrogance until the bitter end. Openly cheating on your wife, going door to door and making house calls and taking your daughter on cheat missions and I guess now that we even talked about it, just isolating your wife. Like, she ain't got no family. You sleeping with all the women in town, so she can't make no friends, and she don't have nobody to talk to because it ain't nobody but your raggedy sister and your mama. That is just absolutely terrible. And somebody even pointed out in the chat, he never even acknowledged his son.
Nobody acknowledged Poe but Lynn.
Poe. So yeah, I feel like he was just a very just awful character. And I think his charm was even, I think it was done in a way that it even tried to mislead us as an audience a little bit and kind of question like, it like, would he really do this to Cissy? Like, what's happening here? And I think his character, though trash, was written very well and was a very great like covert villain.
Absolutely. And I love that because in most cases, especially when we get into a predator or groomer, anybody who's vindictive in any type of way, there's always an expectation of they're going to look a certain way, especially when it gets into film, when in actuality, it's always the person that you least expect or the charmer. They have to be charming and have this persuasive or attractive quality about them to even get all of these people in this tangled web and just to be okay with this, or even have all these women. Apparently wasn't no man available in the town. Everybody was just falling at his feet. And even though we are town gossip, it's also something to be proud of. And we are meeting them in this great, black party and this whole affair. And he's the richest black doctor in town. Meanwhile, we're a bit disgusting. Nikki?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as I was watching the movie, is what you were saying about the character. I love how Daddy Lewis is constructed just as a character, because he isn't over the top. And I love the way that there's a subtlety to his villainous. Like, because like you said, I feel like that's more true to life.
Yeah.
Real monsters in life don't present as monsters, and he definitely presented where there was also even like a sincerity. Like, he was about to gaslight me. I was like, well, wait, do it. Nah, come on, I know he don't. But I love that there was a subtlety in this character and in his performance, and it worked really well. And he was one of my favorite characters of the movie. Like, it was just done so well, and his interactions with everyone around him was all about himself. It was all about how everyone else fed into him, and that's what he really thrived on. Even when it came, like, just the daughters was just so weird. It was like the way he loved having women fawn over him. He loved having his daughter fawn over him. Like, everything needed to fuel his ego and his perception of how great he feels he is.
Yeah.
That he feels like he's just, God's gift, and my wife should just, she should be grateful he married to me. And I just love how he didn't come across as just this over the top, non-realistic, predatory monster. Like, he was charming. And Samuel, I love Samuel. Okay, I'm gonna go down for Samuel, but he's not a Denzel. He's not a traditionally like attractive man. But I like how in the movie it does feel like a sense of realism as to why all of these women are fawning over him.
You didn't have to be attractive back in the day. You got a good job. That
was part of it. He was
provider.
a doctor in the 50s, affluent, but the way he carried himself, the way he would work a room and be, all of that really played into, okay, I can see why or how he's able to charm and pull all these women into his love, net.
We're gonna get into the deception. Most of all, with the deception, I love how, even though it's just, I love how he handled Cissy, because it's always just enough in front of other people to where it's borderline, because you have to make, it's all about perception. It's just enough to where, oh, that's just daddy-daughter love. There's nothing wrong with it. And then, of course, when we're not in front of the people, it can easily turn in and look like something completely different. We're gonna get into him and this ego, though, because that was a big stone for a lot of the things that transpired here. But before we get into the ego, let's get to Cissy. Let's get into Cissy. Little Meagan Good here. Cissy is 14. She's maturing, but she's a bit too mature. Cissy is absolutely doing the most. She is imitating womanhood. She's daddy's little girl. But to what extent? How far does that go? Eventually, we have Cissy go from being daddy's little girl to displaying signs of abuse. And, she's withdrawn. She's quiet. She's depressed. She's not eating. And we have that. And then it's just like, oh, there's always this question of Cissy, was she just this innocent, little girl that was abused by her father? or whatever the scenario was, and it got taken too far? Or was this just, people's favorite, some fast little girl
Mm.
who was overstepping her boundaries and trying to step into this role as the woman of the house and imitating the look and going from daddy's little girl to I'm waiting up on you, I'm rubbing your shoulders, I know you're drinking how you like it, even going as to warn him. I love when he came in there. He's like, "Oh, they always mad. I don't give a damn about what's going on in here. What they gonna do to me?" But it's like everything he does is golden, and everything my mom does is probably trash because at this point you're competition.
Right.
Sister girl, what did you think about Cissy?
So I remember the first couple of times that I watched this, and I'm not gonna lie, I was like, this little girl, I will say I was guilty of the whole she was being too much. She was fast. I was guilty of it. But now, that I've watched it, again, and I'm older, I'm able to realize like this is, a form of grooming to some extent. There seems to be a little bit of triangulation that's going on here. Him really even referring to Cissy as his favorite, really kind of putting her in this space of being like the golden child, but like, why are we doing this? And I think maybe even that idea of like, is this supposed to be my job to comfort, my father and to protect him? And why is this not okay? And it's just very sad, and to the point where when she does become withdrawn, there's not like a thing of like, let's find out what's happening with her. Well, do you just want to leave and go somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So Cissy, we team Cissy over here. She was the victim.
Immediately sent her away. For me, it was when we have that conversation that she has with child's gonna say Jurnee with Eve, and she says, I forgot what she's talking about, what she says, I thought dad was gonna leave us because he's so, out here being worldly. For me, it looked like there was, maybe this daddy-daughter loving relationship, but Louis is a man who thrives on ego and being adorned 24/7 and this insatiable sexual appetite that he has. And at this point in time, he isn't getting that from Roz. Roz is upset. She's tired. I'm sick of you cheating on me. At which we kind of have Cissy fall into this role, and he's feeding into it because I'm not getting this from her, but I'm getting it. I need it from somewhere here. And as tragic and disgusting as it is, just because we weren't getting it from our wife Roz because she's sick of you cheating on her 24/7, we project this on to Cissy, and she takes it in because in Cissy's mind it seemed like she thought she was saving the family. If we have to do this, like I have to pour into my dad and make him feel like he can do no wrong and stroke that ego, and I know how you like your drink, and I can, and it's just and the more she's doing it, the more, even that moment where I think they are trying to confront him, or she's trying to confront him about the cheating, and he's like, I'm going to go to work, and he says, you still love your daddy, don't you? It's like, oh, that's all I need, long as you still love me. And it's just very wifely duty type of material that he's feeding into, and she's internalizing it also until it goes too far and beyond that to where it looks like something completely different. Nikki, what did you think about Cissy?
I think every single thing with the character of Cissy is disturbing. But I was a stereotype. I didn't have no dad around. Was we rubbing our daddy's shoulders? Like,
no. We were rubbing shoulders, and I know how this was way beyond the line of I love you too, daddy. Like we were rubbing shoulders. The line was blurred right before we touched shoulders. She's waiting up for him, like a wife.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it was certain stuff where I gotta be honest. It felt disturbing to me, but then I kept trying to check myself, like, well, was it just disturbing to me because I was raised with my mom and not a dad, or is it just all around?
I ain't had no dad, and if I did, I ain't rubbing no shoulders. No.
Because I feel like when I was growing up, my mother worked 2 jobs, and the only time I could see her is in the morning before school, or if I stayed up at night past my bedtime. I would wait up at night for my mother to get home, just like Cissy waited up for her dad to get home. But I feel like take out the weird sexual connotations between her and her dad. I feel like she is a typical oldest child for me, in the sense that the oldest child, I mean, I was raised the only child, but from what I've seen with the oldest child, they tend to be put into adult roles at early ages, whether that's being a caretaker of the younger kids, whether that's having a certain level of responsibility that shouldn't be put on the shoulders of a child. But because you're the oldest, you're like that next parent. You're the pseudo parent typically when you're the oldest child. And she was very much giving, I'm falling into this role of I need to come off as very mature in a certain sense. And I think, unfortunately, she was mirroring everything she saw. And it was so weird to me that it wasn't clear to the mother just how much her daughter was literally trying to mirror her, to the point she came home with your hairstyle, lady. But I feel like it wasn't just the dad that was grooming her. It was the mom that was grooming her. She was being groomed into a certain role based on how the adults around her were acting. This was just, to me, a typical case of the adults is just effing up the kids for life, like all around. But Cissy was really sad and tragic to me. I mean, even to the point where at the very end, when Eve is questioning, I found this letter. Dad told a different story from the one you told about that rainy, stormy night. I need to know what happened. And one of the first things she says is she has confusion. She's in confusion about what her dad did to her. Like, everything with this girl was just so sad and so tragic. And I think it mirrors reality to an extent.
Go. You get this message here. Thank you so much, Jay Antoinette, for being a member for 6 months. She said, hey, y'all. Hey, Jay. Thank you. We'll never know that. I think that's the mystery of the story, which we'll get into with the child. What?
Yeah, why is that on the screen?
I didn't mean to press it. Just getting into just how deep in the delusion that she was in and kind of being conflicted with exactly what happened to her and why. It just makes me question how far Lewis went with her and how long did whatever was occurring occur. Because even when we meet her demeanor, she's already like knee deep. I'm not going in until daddy comes in the house. And aren't you being just a little immature? Like, already, challenging that mom. And even how quickly she made up that lie. Like, let me tell you what you saw. This is what happened. Daddy was in the, she said, they were rubbing. They were rubbing, Cissy. That rubbing takes me out. Like, they were rubbing. But it's just like, let me tell you what you saw. And for me, it sounded like when someone is grooming you and they're trying to make it okay, like, no, let me tell you what this is. Let me tell you what it looks like so you can make it okay. The way Cissy made up that lie on the spot, and it was just that, or even get into how knee deep she was, even in the jealousy of, even if it looked like Lewis was entertaining or loving on Eve a little bit, it was almost like, when she came down there, Eve was downstairs, or when she went down there and the mom was there, like, this is our time. This is when, these are, signs of when you're being groomed, and it has progressed into something sexual or touching, or y'all know it's escalated. I think it was more than just some father-daughter dancey type situations, or her just waiting up for him. Like, waiting up for him for what? Are you guys what are you doing?
Right.
Waiting up for him to do what? So I think it escalated beyond what we saw, and it caters to why Cissy is so confused. I think if it didn't, we would really just be here with the conflict of it all. If it was just that embrace, or just this kiss and this slap, which we are going to get to, I feel like it was more than that, because she was just too deep in it. Her behavior was too, there is no hugging and I'm daddy's girl and I'm favorite that's going to make me come in here back talking and competing with my own mother.
Right.
Like, I just think it would be beyond what we saw. But like I said, everybody can watch this and get something completely different. Pretty girl Danny with this message: "And the struggle is amazing. Thank you so much for being a member for 5 months. I had my dad in my life until I was 13. Whatever. I wasn't comfortable with like sitting on his lap anymore. I made sure to say so, and I was heard." Absolutely. I think a lot of things were kind of pushed to the side here, but we only have the mother when it's like literally in her face. "Oh, you trying to compete with me? Why are you leaving out of here and talking back? I ain't even died nothing. I came back," girl, back to them celebrating their kid's death. I was like, what kind of dark? It was like, if somebody else died, it's all right. Y'all can go outside. That is celebrating the death of another kid.
Yes.
They were so like giggity, like, oh, somebody else died. Who lost a kid?
Terrible.
Oh, that's so sad. But yes, we can go outside again. It's good. Like there's that. And I guess we'll get into what this kissing here beyond the overstepping of the boundaries, because all she's able to really utter is, he hurt me, Eve. Now, back to this kiss. When I think about, kissing and teenage and I always think about this film, Pretty Baby, and Interview with the Vampire. Aside from them, Cassie saying she had to kiss Samuel 15 times to get this scene, and they were kind of pausing, like, Meagan, are you okay? How are we doing? Doing temp. I was like, okay. Y'all can comment on that as well, because sometimes it's like, did we get a stunt double? Or it's like, no, it was actually Meagan and she was actually kissing Samuel L. Jackson, but they tried to cater to young Meagan here to make sure that she was okay. But the scene that always like solidifies a lot for me here is when Cissy supposedly gets her period.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody acts that way. Now there may be that one girl in the blue moon that's gonna give you creepy Carrie White energy, like, oh Lord, I'm dying, because nobody ever told them anything. There's that. But Cissy, first of all, these underwear were hidden. They were hidden, and the way that she looks, Cissy doesn't look like, oh, I'm just devastated, I got my period for the first time, I don't want to talk about it. Cissy looks like she has been through it, and the way that she attacks Eve, it's like, you're going to expose something that we're not supposed to be talking about because daddy may have said such and such. Don't say anything to anybody. It wasn't just like, don't tell anybody I got my period. It just gave off something else, and we don't really even talk about it anymore. It just happens. All the while we have Roz acknowledging something's off with her, and she's withdrawn and she's not eating. She's quiet, this behavior. But we just immediately send her away.
Mm-hmm.
And with Roz, where's Roz's family? Roz don't have nobody. There's nobody there. Well, who would we send her away to? I really feel like this was Lewis trying to coast and maybe cover for something. Let's just send her away until stuff kind of dials down. Or maybe I figure out exactly what I'm going to do because I did something to her beyond that embrace and that kiss and that slap that we saw. We really don't know how far it went. As we said before, Cissy is often confused, but all she's really able to get out is that he hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, what do you think actually went on here, and what do you think about this kissing scene?
I think child stardom is abuse, point blank, period. There is no reason 13, 14-year-old Meagan Good, should have been kissing 50-year-old Samuel Jackson. I don't care what the rhyme reasons. For me personally, no. We could have got some 18 or 19-year-old brown-skinned girl to come in and get her silhouette. They got some Meagan lips. We could have put some prosthetic lips on a double or something to get them. Cause Meagan got some distinct lips, okay? But we could have found some type of workaround. This I'm sorry. It's gross. It's disgusting. Like there's no way. I'm sorry. But as far as the context in the film of her kissing her dad, even the kiss that was supposed to come off as the innocent daddy-daughter kiss was disturbing to me. Mm-hmm. And the context of it, before it gets to the nefarious part, when it's just my daughter came down and it was just an innocent kiss. I kissed my mother on the lips when I was a little kid, when I was like 3 years old. By the time I was about 4 or 5, I thought kissing my mother on the lips was yucky. Like, that's when we started kissing on the cheek. And her character is supposed to be 13, 14 years old. Baby, we are not kissing maybe it's just me. Is it just me? We are not kissing our parents on the lips at 13 and 14 years old. We're not. And I had a mom parent. We're not kissing our parent on the lips at that big old ass age. You're not in a training bra kissing your parents on the lips. I kissed my mother on the lips when I was a little kid, because that you're a little kid. It's innocent. You're just kissing your mother. Baby, by the time I was 4 or 5, no, that was yucky. We don't do that. 13, 14 years old. I think the movie starts, she's 13. I think by the end of the movie, she's 14, if I remember correctly. Coming downstairs, kissing her dad on the lips, that was disturbing. Again, maybe it's disturbing to me because I didn't have a dad, but sitting on your dad's lap at that big old age feels disturbing to me too. Um, I think the reaction to the period, I said this when we were on live, I was very taken aback. It did not feel like a reaction to a period, especially a reaction to a period where you want to hide. Who's hiding the fact that they got that period? Like the way she hid it, the way she literally was trying to strangle. Like you said, Tyra, the way the underwear were hidden.
You were hidden, and he came in there and said, "Daddy, just get. I don't want you. Like, well, since we were on one day, I don't want you, Daddy. Get."
Yes, and I feel like that was a very telling scene. She literally turns her body away from her dad. I forget whose lap she's laying in, whether it was the aunt or the grandma that was on the bed with her, but she's laying on someone's lap, and he comes in. She literally turns her body away from her dad. She does not act like that in the movie until that moment. I personally feel like the night of the storm, baby came down, dad went too far and violated her. Okay, I'll say that for YouTube sensories. I don't believe the dad's letter. I don't believe his version of the letter. When we get the scene, baby, his eyes was open. You weren't that drunk. His eyes was wide open. You saw your baby face. You saw who that was. She don't look that much like your wife now. She do not look like that much like Lynn Whitfield. Okay, because she got the dark hair, little bumps, They bumped the hair. She did not look that much like her mama. I think he did it, and I also think he did it because at the very, very last scene of the movie, one of the ending scenes, when Eve reads the letter, and Eve is upset with her sister. Dad said this. He wrote this letter. This isn't what happened. She holds her palm out just like her aunt is able to do. So she doesn't rely on Cissy telling her what happened. She holds her palms out. She sees it. Her demeanor towards her sister changes. She's no longer mad and upset at her sister. Her facial expression. I think that daddy did it.
Yeah, we gonna get into that later because don't be trying to save face even in death. Like he was prepping. Sister girl, how do you feel about, I guess, how far this went in this kissing scene that went on 15 times?
Yeah, it is very disturbing. I don't know if I think I said it in my mind yesterday, but I didn't say it out loud. I may say it out loud. Who knows? But Nikki kind of pointed out yesterday about how many child stars there were back in the 90s. And I've thought about this in the past before, and I may or may not be correct about this, but I felt like also there were a lot of child stars back there because a certain what's his name? Harry Weinstein? Harvey Weinstein was a producer of a lot of things. And there were a lot of predators, back then. And I just find it hard to not connect those dots, that there were a lot of people doing a lot of nefarious things back then, and there were a lot of child stars. And I don't think there was a lot of care that was given, to child actors back then. And I think Meagan was like 15 or 16 when she filmed this. So,
she was like, I think the age was because the age was pretty accurate because Meagan was supposed to be Eve, but she aged out of the role and they went and found Jurnee.
Was she that young? I thought she was a little bit.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah,
regardless, her kissing 15 times is crazy.
Yeah, she's like 14, 15 years old. The age is pretty accurate here.
Yeah. And so, with it being a woman director, and you being okay with that, like, to me, that's just, not okay. And I think the controversy behind this part of it is well deserved. Now I will say I might be in the minority here, but I did kiss my parents on the lips, and it wasn't to this degree though, but little peck, love you, bye, whatever. So seeing her, the way that she sat on her dad's lap and the way she kissed him was like,
that was a slow kiss, sister girl. That was a slow.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't the same. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't the same like level of like, hey dad, all right, good night, peck, and let me go about my business. And so that, to me, the kiss felt too familiar. It felt like this is how we've always greeted each other.
Yeah, it felt like it wasn't the first time.
Yeah. And then, and I think, when she let Eve see her vision or what she saw, and she said, "I don't know what happened." It seems like this was that moment where maybe it went to the furthest that it had ever gotten, but whatever happened before then was probably what they were familiar doing with each other. And like somebody said, like her knowing how to make his drink.
Yeah.
Child, the only drink I know how to make for my daddy at my big age is ice water, child. Like, Daddy, what you want in this? I have no idea. And so the fact that she was that trained to tend to his needs is very concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if, once she aged out, was Eve going to be next? Because, he said, we can start, I will start dancing
I'll
with
dance
you
with you
now.
for now. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh god. That gets me so much. Just the way he said and the way he looked, and with Nikki addressing, these off sinister like faces that we had the cast making. We had Lynn Whitfield making some faces like she was privy to some things. Like even when she came out here to check on Eve in the beginning of the film, it was like, what's happening? What's going on? Hopefully, it ain't the same thing I probably know is going on as far as Cissy is concerned. Yeah, that comment about I'll dance with you. Like, it's just the Sam was giving him looks. He wasn't giving an accent, but he was giving looks. He was giving looks, but oh yeah, poor Cissy. Yeah, this was very comfortable. She didn't come in here and lean in but I love the way it's written. It's just written to a way where you just really don't know. Now, I didn't know
Barbara,
about.
did you kiss your mom on the lips when you was little?
No.
Really? I thought that was normal.
No, I kiss my mom on the cheek or something.
As a little kid.
Look, my brain don't want to go back so far. If I did, I forget.
What about your kids? Did you kiss your kids on the lips when they were really little?
Yeah.
See, I think that's normal. But the way she was slow. They lips took time to. Y'all saw the scene. They lips took time to really graze each other.
That's why his explanation just means a whole lot of nothing. Now, I did not know about this until doing the research for this film. We cut out a whole character. This is Uncle Tommy. Uncle Tommy seen these scenarios as far as Cissy and Lewis was concerned, but he's written out. He has cerebral palsy and he's pretty much nonverbal. This is he had plenty of scenes. He was a prominent character in the film, and this is just Eve kind of addressing him and saying, I know you can't be out, mingling at the party. You're not missing anything. And she's kind of using sign language, I think. But this is hard to find. I can barely find that. I can barely find these images, child. It's like some deep rooted, uncut version of the film that rarely people have. But he was here, and I think Kasi decided to cut him not only for time purposes, but he was kind of the open ended of, I guess, confirming that something inappropriate was going on, but he couldn't verbalize it. And there's a scene per se where he's kind of catching them, or it looks inappropriate, but he's trying to do what he can to like garner attention. He's like breaking glass, like somebody do something, but he couldn't say it. Nikki, I'm gonna come to you first. Do you feel like we should have kept this character in, or was it right to remove him? Because with him being removed, it's kind of up to anyone's guess as far as exactly what's going on here, this, that, and the third. But with him there, it's kind of a stamp on it. I really kind of like that it's an open-ended situation and you just really don't know exactly what happened versus us having a whole character here to kind of confirm somebody do something because I can't. This is inappropriate.
I don't think his character would have been necessary. I feel like first of all, the characters we get, I feel like we're able to focus on each character in a pretty good way as far as pieces to this whole. And I feel like he may have taken away, like, how much can we really delve when he's in that condition? But also, I feel like I like for a movie to walk a fine line. Like, I can't stand a movie where everything is just left to the audience and you don't give us anything. I think that's lazy. But I do love something that's more ambiguous, something that's more up to interpretation. So I prefer, just as far as narratively, I prefer not having him in there to confirm anything. I like and I think it's realistic in the sense of how some child victims of being assaulted can see things, especially when it's family. I like the confusion and the blurriness of what exactly happened that night and how Cissy saw that night, how the dad claims to have seen that night, how it all portrays to like how the audience sees, what we get of that night. I think that works a lot better for me personally, especially with the tone of the movie and how it feels. And with, like you said, the narrator being this 10-year-old kid, I feel like that works a lot better and adds a certain layer that's just really dynamic to the story being told.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to find this director's cut somewhere because I just want to see it, but I do agree that it works better. Sister girl, what about you? Did you know about Uncle Tommy, and do you think it works better with or without him?
Let me tell you something. The way I looked at this and I said, did I have an ADHD moment watching the movie? And did I just zone out when he was on screen? I will agree. I think that the ambiguity of the ending is what makes the movie to me to some degree. To some degree. And so I am interested to see the scenes that he's in. Reading the chat, it looks like we probably would all be very clear about what actually happened if his scenes have been left in.
Yeah.
But whose brother? I guess this would be Lewis's.
Yeah, because she didn't have any family there, so I'm
Okay.
assuming.
Yeah. So, but then also, I feel like maybe it also would have added something to it because it's like, is this also like, is this also part of like this idea of like this cursed family and they have all these things going on or like, why? I don't know. I'm very interested to see this character's time in the movie.
Okay, I want to see it. I didn't know about it until looking it up. I was like, maybe somebody on the panel would be like, yeah, I seen them scenes. I didn't see nothing. But I definitely agree with the chat as far as it not being there because that would have been complete confirmation. If
Mm-hmm.
somebody said he broke a vase in the kitchen and it was like, then that's when he slapped Cissy versus what we saw. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
somebody can see us. Let me pretend like this was something that it wasn't. That's definitely
Mm-hmm.
confirmation. We don't gotta stay here so long, but I just had to acknowledge the pride before the fall. Because sir, all you had to do was walk your happy ass away.
Right.
All you had to do, Roger said, don't say nothing else to my wife. You say something to her, I'm gonna kill you. His man all deep in his feelings and I loved you. I loved you, Louis. I loved you. I was like, and he just if this doesn't tell you like the type of man that we are dealing with, I don't know what other scene does. It's one thing to be remorseful. If there was no remorse, there was no we could do all of this, but we couldn't openly say, yeah, I'm effing her and what. This is like, oh yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Whatever. Just go sleep it off. Like it was just the brazenness of it all, just so bold. This is very, very, very distasteful, like as far as character. And it's like if you could do this, you're not a good man, Savannah. Sister girl, what did you think about the way he died and how he just didn't give it even when the baby came and daddy, can you just come home? Like he didn't like what girl, can't you see I'm trying to F on Miss I'm trying to lay down. Okay, girl, leave me alone. Like
Yeah.
this is a despicable man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was given, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. It was given Chris Rock, Will Smith. I told you to keep my wife's name out your mouth. Um, and it's that arrogance of like I can do whatever. I'm untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm untouchable. You can tell me to not talk to your wife again. Not only am I going to talk to her again, I'm going to do it while you standing here. He had already disrespected him once by bumping and grinding, doing the 50s, 60s version of twerking at the party. And now, you out flirting with her at the bar, in front of everybody. And so, the disrespect from Lewis had taken, he messed with the right one. He got that beige rage and he was out of there. He was out of there.
Not that beige rage. Mickey, how do you feel about the way he went out?
I love this scene. I love the way he died. It was very on brand for the character. And you know what? I gotta say, I hate to say I identified with him because he was the predator of the story, but I identified with that having to say that last little word because yeah, yeah. I went through a phase in school where I was literally kicked out of class and written up on a referral just about every day.
Oh.
And I remember one day I did not take that referral down, and the teacher thought I got in trouble, and I didn't. But I just had to let that teacher know. You know what? As a matter of fact, just so you know. So I get him wanting to be like, you know what? I'm about to say this little word because you can't do nothing to me. But the thing that really gets me, and before we leave this slide, sister girl, you got to say the quote that the light skinned man said in Tales from the Hood.
The only spooks I'm worried about are the ones with guns.
That's what y'all was doing over there on the live.
But the fact that that man literally did not care that his daughter was holding his hand, baby, that bullet could have ricocheted off a rib and shot that little girl.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute, Nikki. I'm sorry. Say that one more time. What the bullet was gonna do?
Could have ricocheted off his rib and shot the little girl.
Ah, okay. I thought that's what you said.
Bullets ricochet, okay?
Rib. By the time we get the rib, I think it's in there. I think it's good. I don't think, unless he's Iron Man.
But the point is, he is not a sharpshooter. That girl was too close to the daddy, and he just popping off shots. But I will say, what also interweaves with this character that I said adds to the complexity.
And he tried to save her.
He had the wherewithal. He saw the gun, and he had the wherewithal to push his little second victim to be out of the way. So at least he did, because he wasn't the father to none of them damn kids, especially not that little boy. That little boy, okay,
it's not even.
But at least he did one fatherly duty out of all his kids' lives, and he pushed that little girl out the way.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody's saying, everybody just acts like just because you are, I guess, a predator, that you have to be like one way. There aren't any ups and downs to your character. Oh, he just walking around with a public pee on the front of his shirt looking for the unsuspect. Like, no, there's always going to be a levity to what I'm willing. Like, I'm still a father, but I'm still so many other things as well that are absolutely nasty, to where I just couldn't even put my pride in my pocket and walk away with all you had to do was walk away, sir, and you got shot. Now, poor Eve, she just traumatized all around. You already was hunching in front of her.
Right.
It were rubbing. I'm sorry. They were rubbing. They were rubbing. You were already rubbing. But don't play with Roger Guinevere Smith. I said don't talk to her again. First of all, this actor acts down. It was some people in this cast, boy. I love him. But getting towards the end and getting into this letter and the give me your hands of it all, so many people get this letter confused and thinks that after the funeral, because I'll say during the funeral, because Cissy was so downtrodden and devastated and was the one crying the most, like, oh, see, she feels guilty because she lied. No. Things look, a different type of way, even though her father was all those things, and we can argue about exactly what he did and how far it went. It still was wrong, but that doesn't undercut the respect or love that she had for him, like most, some victims do with abusers, especially if it's family and especially if it's somebody as prominent as your father. I think that those were those emotions, and not so much I'm crying because I lied and look what happened. Yeah, that's not that. And then we get into this letter that Eve just so happens to find in the shaving kit. I think it says a whole lot that you didn't write this letter to your wife. You wrote this letter to your sister. And it felt like a just in case situation. For him to write that letter to her, it was like, well, just in case something comes out, I'll always have this letter. And even for him to address it to her, I felt like behind somebody's closed doors, in a scene that I'm sure we didn't have by choice, because she wanted to be none the wiser and be off into flights of fancy speaking in riddles about her dead husbands. She saw something, and she maybe confronted him with it. And this was him trying to save face for whatever the inevitable was that could happen if whatever was found out, to make it, in his favor. And I'm just, a glorified doctor running around, selling aspirin. And for a brief moment, when I realized she was kissing me like a woman, it was just, yeah, it sounded like, let me make this look a certain type of way just in case. It didn't feel like some revelation letter to be outward and some omission of it. Because if it was, I would think that you would be writing this letter to your wife. Why are you writing this letter to your sister? I think she confronted him and we just didn't see it. Sister girl, what did you think about this ending scene?
Oh yeah, I for sure think Mozelle confronted him, because even though little baby Eve has the gift as well, she's still just learning it. And I think she tried to conceal what she knew from her aunt, but it didn't work because she is
Mhm.
more gifted than her niece. And I think she confronted him about it, and he wrote that letter, trying to kind of make himself to be innocent, and I just don't know what happened, and all this other stuff. And I think when Eve got to actually like see what her sister saw, I think she saw the truth, of what actually happened. And and I don't think it's unheard of, for abusers to victim blame and pretend like, well, they came on to me, and if she hadn't just worn this, or I didn't know what was going, I was drunk, I didn't know what was happening, I had one eye open, one eye closed, it was dark that night. Negro, please, you abused that child, and you wrote a letter to try to make yourself out to be the victim when you were not.
I always thought she knew. And she says, well, if you don't want to tell me, I'm not going to drag it out of you. Like, girl, you knew. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't even taken it. I think she knew a whole lot all along. She just wanted to know what Eve knew and see how far she knew. And she's questioning, how can I use voodoo to kill someone? She knew and she confronted. And that was his little saving letter. Nikki?
Yeah, the way I view the letter is, I don't think it was something he had in the tuck just in case something happened, because based on the character as I see him, I don't think he thought anything would ever happen to him. I think his sister absolutely confronted him, and I think he wrote that letter with the intention to, cover himself, and he just didn't get a chance to go to his sister with that letter because he was killed. But I don't think the way he operates, that man thought he was untouchable. Like, he didn't think anything was going to happen to him. And I agree, the verbiage used, it definitely sounded like, oh, that child seduced me. Like, it definitely sounded like he was trying to do a roundabout with muddying up what exactly happened. And I'm glad we threw the letter in there with the alligators. Okay, the sister know what's up. Okay, I don't know why she even needed to confront the brother. You know what's happening. But I feel like this letter and this scene with the two sisters, it just solidifies to me what exactly happened that night.
It did. For me, them, letting that letter go by the wayside and ending off, holding hands and give me your hands. It's like, I don't need you to say anything else. Whatever I'm seeing is enough for me to know whatever he got, it was his comeuppance because he deserved it. He did hurt you and you didn't lie. I thought it was. I always thought this was sealing, like, oh, Cissy's, as if, I don't know why we question it. Whatever was happening, Cissy was a child. Cissy was a child. Like, I don't like how we are constantly resolving Lewis of, well, she was doing too much. Even if she was doing too much, even if, no, I'm never saying she was, even if she was doing too much, even if she was pushing up on, like, this is your daughter. She was a child. You were the adult and the dad, and you should have ceased and desisted the moment that she got out of pocket. You didn't, because you were enjoying it. I just can't. Better leave Cissy alone. Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
And even whatever she was doing that was doing too much, she was doing exactly what she was taught to do.
Yeah.
Even if it was too much, that's what she was doing to do.
I don't know why people were acting like, well, this just what, girls just, this is just how they be getting. Like, what? This is learned behavior. And I did consider this for quite some time, but just because we didn't like ever get, I always watch and wait, like, or look for signs with Mozelle. Like, I always consider this, but that would give all the levity in the world as to why she is so complacent, receptive, and willing to hide where all the bodies are buried. You just wouldn't know. Does anybody feel like Mozelle was his first victim?
I don't, simply because she really hammers home how much she's like her brother. Now she may not be like him in the sense of, this predator stuff, but I think they were kind of two peas in a pod. And even the way that you said earlier, how quick Cissy lies, makes up that lie, I think that's exactly how he may have like groomed his sister in a sense. When it comes to stuff like that. But I mean, I personally don't read that from what we get on screen from the characters.
Sister girl, what about you?
Yeah, I never really considered that. I just thought maybe she was like one of those people that just likes to kind of protect, predators because they benefit in it from some way, shape, or form. Because I mean, he essentially was take care of the whole family. So I mean, other than her doing readings, she was when she said no, she had her own house, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She had her own house.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
it's a lot. He kept trying to play her little gift to the left, like just in case anything ever comes out. Like, oh, she's crazy. There's a little old gift. She's not she can't do anything. All of this is all malarkey. Just in case she maybe popped up and said, "I seen it," but she wasn't ever gonna do that because she was gonna do this shit.
Well, see, now that you mentioned that part of it, now wait a minute now. Maybe she might have been, maybe she tried to say that he did something to her at one point in time. Nobody believed her, and all you crazy, and he was used to doing that, so people would question, her, as I don't know though, but I don't see any signs that that really happened just because of her loyalty to him.
Yeah, I think she just adores her brother, just like a typical like mom that's protecting her predator son or something like that.
He ain't never hurt nobody.
Yeah, no, he hurt everybody.
Off the news, lady. Get off the freaking news. Let me get Dane here before we finish up with this. Thank you so much, Dane, for the super chat. Said the letter makes no narrative sense. Mozelle clearly lives nearby, being at their house all the time. Why would Lewis need to write Mozelle a letter? To keep it private. Like, why would we want to say it out loud? We wouldn't want anybody to hear. I think he would have slid her that letter in private. Or maybe that was just his emergency. Who knows? A lot of, people, predators, they pre-plan. They plan ahead for if, this blows up. So you can have it to say, well, I said blank, blank, blank. Like, I think it was to just keep things hush hush and a lot of things. Like the same way that they didn't allow us to see whatever conversation she had with him before to even accuse or maybe even say what she saw as far as holding Eve's hands. I think it was, the same way with the letter. Anybody with this letter?
Yeah, I think it makes narrative sense. I mean, I could see how on one hand you might say, well, why would he even want to put something like that in writing? But he knows his sister. He knows she has always protected him. I definitely think it's one of those kind of taboo things that he wouldn't want to say out loud. He would want to write her letter and kind of like put a nail in the coffin of the discussion. Like, of all the things, why would you ever think I could ever, whatever, however he worded that letter. I personally think it makes narrative sense.
And then narratively, it works for the writing of the story. Lewis is dead. He's dead at this point. We need somewhere. Ain't no, he couldn't text or nothing. He wouldn't know, side, no BlackBerry message or nothing. We needed this here for us to get to the Bayou and for the sisters to kind of resolve and acknowledge what happened as far as Cissy and their dad and accept it and move forward. Sister girl, do you think anything about how this maybe doesn't narratively work, and why wouldn't he just go down the block and say Mozelle, it was all a lie, whatever, instead of writing her that letter?
I mean, first of all, I feel like people was writing letters back then, you know what I'm saying? But also not only that, but even though he outwardly said, well, she crazy, she been locked up before. I think there's a part of him that knew she did have gifts. So if he were to have that conversation with her in person and she, touched him, grabbed his hand, she could have really seen the truth. And so, it probably felt safer. Well, let me just write this letter because you can't get the truth from me from my mind, but I can write down what I want you to believe.
Or even just out of the mouth, like a lot of things we can say and think a whole lot of things. Some things you just don't want to say out loud and you rather put it on paper. And then you can curate, like, I would never, like, yeah, lying. But this has been a really, really great time. Thank you guys so much for supporting us in that chat. Closing it off, would you guys be here for like an Eve's Bayou spin-off? Because I think the question Kasi Lemmons gets asked most often, like, would you be open to opening up this universe again? Us, following up with Eve. All the actors are still, with us. We can all break them all here and just kind of have a whole, situation, or even I don't even know where that story would go. Would you be here for that? A spin-off of the Eve's Bayou like universe, opening up a show, or do you just simply want fresher, newer stories, more in the realm of this one? Sister girl?
I don't know. I don't know if I would want a continuation or like a sequel or spinoff of Eve's Bayou. I would like something, similar, or or maybe if he had maybe like even like a backstory of them growing up, of what was their childhood like, was he the favorite, did he abuse his sister, maybe something maybe along those lines. But I do love movies like this because again, I think just whenever there's a location that can also be a character, because I just am obsessed with New Orleans, Louisiana. I always love it. So yeah, and I hate that she, didn't really step out and trust herself enough to continue to write movies, because she clearly is talented. But I wouldn't want no sequel. I feel like it was wrapped up.
I just would like some more. I was literally trying to think what other movie that we have like this that is, majority black cast and just really rich. And I was like, do we not have one? The closest I could come to is movies like, I was like, why they all star Afri Wood? Movies like Down in the Delta and Funny Valentine, things that good BET situations that they don't really show no more. Just we don't really have, something as rich as this. And I'm like, that's really unfortunate. However many years removed from this film, is there still nothing? Nikki, what about you?
Eve's Bayou spinoff.
Part 2 or whatever.
Well, and you know what? First, before I even answer that, I also, if I can for 2 seconds jump backwards, I would also say the letter makes narrative sense because there's no other way for us to get the dad side of the story.
Yeah,
needed that. That's kind of the point of how it ends off. There was no other way for us to get his side of the story, baby. It's kind of like in the horror movie where you got to go on the internet to do research. We never doing that in real life.
You can go to the library.
Yeah, there's no other way.
Go look at the news article. Like,
Right.
Every time.
In order for you to learn the rules of the curse, you got to go through the archives of the library. It's no other way for the story to give us that info. There was no other way for the story to give us the dad's point of view. But I personally would be here for an Eve's Bayou spinoff where they're now adults and the youngest son is running around town like his dad, and it comes off like he's cheating, but actually he's kind of like Norman Bates and he's really killing people. He like a serial killer. Like, I would be here for that.
Now wait a minute.
Totally different, Nikki.
Eve's Bayou 2, Down in the Swamp. Is
that totally different. Totally different. I just want more. Like, this was just so thought-provoking, whether you like this movie or not, whether it's like, I watched Eve Bayou once and I'm no good to watch it again because narratively you don't really like what's being projected in the story. It's still like, it's just such a grower. I feel like every time I watch this, I notice or pick up on something new. I just want more in-depth stories. And I like how in-depth it was, and it kept us guessing, and it wasn't some pretentious, it wasn't no A24. Yeah. I love A24. Let me say that. I love it, but damn.
Let me answer the question seriously. I mean, we could seriously have a little boy be a serial killer, but let me answer the question another way. I think that I get your train of thought, because especially the conversations when you have about like horror and black actors and stuff, it's refreshing to get a story like this and characters like this. But I think that's kind of where the machine goes wrong with these sequels that never lives up to the original, is they kind of want to milk it because it sets a certain bar that the public doesn't get. I would much rather if she tries to create another story, whatever her inspiration was, I think you said something about she took some elements of like her childhood. I would prefer if she give us kind of these elements in the sense of, because me and Sister Girl said this yesterday, what would even the ensemble current Black Stars be to even make the ensemble? Like, I would love for her to come in with something that's refreshing for now, but I wouldn't necessarily want her to mess with this property. I'm more of a one and done when it comes to something that's really well done. Like, it was done well, leave it alone. It's very rare that I think a sequel is really necessary. Like, we needed this story. I can't think, at least not right now, what story would be needed when it comes to the rest of the Batiste family.
I don't know. I just was always like, I wonder what happened. Like, this is really heavy. All of the themes here are extremely heavy, and you know the ramifications of it run way before and after childhood, and now you might be a parent, now whatever, and you'll still be dealing with these things. Like, Eve still might be tormented at did I or didn't I cause the death, or all of those things. You could have a sense of maybe Mama Ra's realizing and figuring out maybe exactly what happened, or just questioning it, or even really dealing with why she didn't, or not. Are you going to acknowledge, Mom, all those years ago you didn't protect us? Like, I don't know. It's material there. There's material there, but aside from like a spinoff or a part 2 or a series or whatever, I would prefer just to get more robust stories, honestly, because I wouldn't want property. But I just thought I would ask. Well, you guys, that was Eve Bayou. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Everybody has been great. I'm gonna run our little situation here, because Saturdays are always for our Saturday members only watch along. This week is my turn, and this is the film I picked. If you do want to be a part of these watch alongs, be sure to join the Discord, become a member of the Struggle, or become a member of those Sweet Peas. Shout out to Ashley; she will be with us soon. I'm gonna run this, and then everybody's gonna come back and let you know where to go and support them. And we're going to get out of here. I'll be right back. Now, as you guys can see, I chose Leon the Professional. That is what we are watching. I am really excited. I'm very surprised at how many people have yet to see it. Nikki, have you seen Leon the Professional?
I saw Leon the Professional when I was like 7 years old, child. That's what I was watching instead of Dead President.
You know what? Either way, I'm glad you've seen it. If you guys want to be a part of that, be sure to become a member of the channel. Sister Girl on Film, I'm going to come to you first to let the people know what you have coming up and where they need to be to come and support you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I am Sister Girl on Films here on the YouTube. Let's see, this week I just posted my reaction to Get Out, which is one of my faves. I love Jordan Peele. I have coming up this weekend episode 2, season 1 of I Love New York, which has been amazing. And then I will start doing reactions to action films coming up on the channel. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. So yeah, so subscribe to your girl if you like foolery and mess, because that's what I have over there.
Absolutely. We love food. There's a lot of foolery and mess over here too.
Okay.
A whole lot of it. Welcome, Sherry, to The Struggle is Weird. Thank you so much for becoming a member. We would absolutely love to have you this Saturday. I just read your comments and yet another movie with a questionable relationship with the child. Absolutely questionable as hell. But I love it down. I'm gonna be real biased. I would be interested to see how I feel about his relationship now as an adult, because I remember watching The Professional as a kid and I was like, this is weird. this is off. Something's unnatural going on here, but I couldn't really explain. I don't think I've seen it to really dive into it. So yeah, I would love to have you there. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Nikki, what do you have coming up on your channel that people want to know?
And I will say, in Leon the Professional, okay, Natalie Portman ain't have to kiss that grown man like Samuel them did. But every Tuesday we are doing our retrospective of Lovecraft Country. We have 3 episodes left, so make sure you are here on Tuesday for the live watch along and discussion. And I don't have any content coming up on the channel, but I got like 700 million, 1,100 videos on the channel. So check some of those out that are already up. But also, I am currently writing, directing, and producing a horror short film called Apples. And if you would like to know how you can support that, you can check out my community tab. And that's everything. And say hi to my baby. Say hi to my baby.
Oh, get him out of here. If I can't hold up my oversized dog and put him up, get your little dog.
Ain't my fault your dog 100 pounds.
But thank you so much. Erica Alexander, please run it back and leave your comments in the chat. I know you arrived a little late. I know you got so much to say. Anybody who has just joined us, be sure to run the video back and let us know what you think about the conversation or this film in the chat. We would love that. But as far as me, y'all, I am working still. It's a slow process, but I'm working on my Straight Outta Compton video. I'm almost done with it. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Hopefully you're entertained. I had some stuff to say because don't play with Eazy-E. Don't play with Eric Wright, okay? That's that. Of course, as far as the collective is concerned, myself and Ashley, Fridays are always Flavor Flav Fridays at the moment. We will be getting into that, so be sure to be a part of that Friday. Saturdays before the members only watch along. And if you did just become a member, remember to join the Discord. The link is always in the community tab. Before that, we will be getting into season 4, episode 2 of Raising Kanan. And I also think before the week is out, Ashley and I will be getting into Dope Thief. It's a brand new series. I think it drops tomorrow. And it stars Brian Tyree Henry. It's on Apple TV. Check that out and support us in all those things. As I said, we would love to have you guys. And yeah, anything else, ladies, before we get out of here?
I will say, when we were talking about a spinoff, someone in the chat said a prequel of the Batiste family. I think that actually would be a good idea, because I feel like we would just be treading too much, retreading too much territory with the sequel.
I don't want nothing, Nikki. I don't want nothing, because then you have to be true to who those characters are. They just don't get things
now,
right.
How you want to? You think they're gonna be true to the sequel, but not?
No, I don't want neither. I just posed the question. I don't want either one. I want new stories.
Y'all want to take back, because Tyra just said she wanted a sequel.
No, I don't want either one. I want more stories like this one, or in the realm, or just that have that talkative nature. It's a pose for conversation. I don't want to part nothing, because they just don't get it right. I'm sorry, because it's gonna be us dictating and nitpicking. Well, he wouldn't do that. This Lewis ain't nothing like. Yeah, who they find it? Yeah, if they do, make sure they know how to speak proper Creole, because Samuel Jackson was playing on our time. But we are gonna get out of here, and you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Good night, y'all.
Touchdown. Que lo diría, que se podía hacer el amor por telepatía. La luna está llena, mi cama vacía, lo que yo te haría. Si te tuviera de frente en la mente, te la volaría. De noche, de día, de noche, de día. You know I'm just to fly away. And if you want it, you could take a private plane. I'll give